Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and today Apple released macOS Big Sur 11.4 Beta 1. This was a bit of a surprise, and they did not announce anything else along with this, so no iOS 14.6, for example. Now, this is out alongside macOS 11.3, the release candidate, and if you're updating from the release candidate or Beta 8, for example, this will be a 3.1 gigabyte install as far as the overall size. It should be around 3 or 4 gigabytes. However, if you're coming from a different version, it can be as large as 11.96 gigabytes for some, or 12 gigabytes. So it could be a huge install depending on which version you're coming from. Now, this particular update has a few small changes in it. Let's go ahead and close this. We'll take a look at the build number and then talk about what's new. So we'll go to the Apple, then About This Mac, and as you can see here, 11.4 beta, the build number is 20F5046G. And this particular build, I think, is coming out because of the new iMacs. So, like I said, there's no other betas that were released or announced alongside this one, but the first thing is it adds support for the new iMacs. So Apple introduced the new iMacs, it adds the support for these, as well as some of the setups here with a hello screen, but we're unsure what it looks like because we can't try one of these new 24-inch iMacs. So it adds support for that. It also adds support for the new Magic Keyboard with Touch ID. So if you haven't seen this, this is the web page. There's a new option for a keyboard with Touch ID, and this will be coming out alongside the iMac. However, there's no mention of if it will support current Macs, for example. So if you wanted to add it to, say, an external keyboard to your current Mac Pro or iMac or whatever you have, it looks like it only works with the current iMacs coming out. So that support has all been added. Now, to go along with the new iMacs, another change that they've added on the new iMacs is if you go to General under System Preferences and you go to Highlight Color, you'll have all of the colors you currently have, so you can have all of these different accent colors. But on the iMac, it looks like we'll have the option to select this Mac. Since the new Macs come in all sorts of colors, the new iMacs, say you have blue or purple, it will just say this Mac. It will recognize that it's a blue iMac, for example, and you can just select this Mac. We can't see this yet as this is a MacBook Pro, but that will be here in the newer Macs, for example. So maybe they'll make it more aware. Now, something we can see is if you go and launch a game that's meant for an iPhone or an iPad on an M1 Mac, maybe this one here, we'll just click on it. We don't necessarily need to go into the game, but we'll let it load for a moment. And if we go to we'll just click OK for now. If we go to the top where the preferences are, we'll click on Preferences, and we now have a new option under General for smaller or larger window sizes. If we click to switch to, say, larger, for example, it will prompt us to relaunch the app, and then it will resize. So if we click Relaunch the app, it will relaunch and give you the option to resize this in a larger display size. We've got some options to resize it if we want as well. So nothing huge, but some slight changes, and if we click OK, we'll get rid of it and close that. So that's one of the small changes they've made in this update. Now, macOS 11.4 Beta 1 adds support for Radeon graphics cards, specifically the RDNA 2 Navi graphics cards, 6800, 6800 XT, and 6900 XT. So maybe this will be added to the Mac Pro, for example, or you'll be able to just use these in a Mac Pro instead of using one of their different options for graphics cards. You'll be able to select maybe one of those third-party graphics cards and use it in a Mac Pro. So whether or not that's coming to future Macs, we're not sure, but they do add support for it in this particular update. Now, something that they've been updating regularly has to do with podcasts. Now, I haven't been able to find any specific changes, but they did mention this at the Apple event, and that is subscriptions and a lot of different information regarding those subscriptions. So, for example, it looks like it's ready to go with subscriptions and that they've set up Fair Play for DRM, basically. So if you're subscribed, then you just can't play it on any specific device. You would be able to use it on the same amount of devices that you can use Apple Music on, for example. So if you have an Apple Music subscription and it's assigned to multiple devices, you'd be able to use it on those. So you'll get all of those changes. Those will be coming up soon. There's different wording hinting to supporting your favorite creators and things like that. I haven't seen anything as far as subscriptions go yet within podcasts, though. So you can click on one, click on the three dots, and you can follow them, but still there's no specific subscription that I can see. So that will be coming up very soon. Apple talked about that at their latest Apple event, the Spring Loaded event, but you have all of these different options that are a little bit different. They changed a lot of this around with macOS 11.3. There's also some changes to wording for Apple Pay, probably to support the upcoming Apple Pay family or wallet family setup if you have an Apple card. And also, I think this particular update will be coming out at the second half of May. And because it adds support for the new iMacs, for example, these are coming out the second half of May. And if this specific update is for that, then we should see this updated to the public or released to the public by that time. So I would expect it by that time. And also, so far, I've been using this, not a whole lot, but performance seems the same as 11.3, for example. I've had no issues there so far. But as far as if you should install macOS 11.4 Beta 1, well, I would really hold off for now unless you need it for something specifically, you're a developer or something along those lines. At this point, it's very early on, and we're just getting to the release candidates of macOS 11.3, for example. So I would hold off. If you want to try the beta, you can, but you're not gaining a whole lot of changes so far, unless you want to try out those new graphics cards I mentioned and you have a Mac Pro or an older Mac that would support that, with maybe an eGPU, for example. So all of those things are changed in this. Not a huge amount of updates. I would expect more updates with maybe Beta 2, and maybe we'll see iOS 14.6 to go along with this, maybe releasing along the same time, something along those lines. But we should see some significant changes to podcasts and all of the other things I mentioned already. So not a huge change, but a nice little update, and we should see a big change with macOS, maybe 12 that they'll call it at WWDC. If you found anything else, let me know in the comments below, and if you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, of course, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already, though, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.